All right, let's dive into something that affects us all. Taxes.
Yeah, taxes.
But we're not going to bore you with just like the dry facts and figures.
Right.
We're going to actually explore some pretty fascinating trends in tax law
Mm,
and what they might mean for your financial future,
right. Especially when it comes to,
especially when it comes to life insurance.
yeah, life insurance. That's right. It's interesting how most people only really think about taxes during tax season,
Yeah.
but they're,
We got to do it.
yeah, exactly. But these laws are always changing, and understanding those shifts
Right.
can be really important for making smart financial decisions, for your future.
Absolutely. Our source material today is really focused on potential changes to tax laws and how those changes could impact life insurance policies. So consider this your crash course on navigating this complex world.
Definitely.
And just to illustrate how much things can change, did you know that back in the mid-20th century, the top tax bracket in the U.S. was over 90%? Can you imagine like 90% of your income going straight to the government?
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really highlights that the only constant with taxes is change.
Yeah.
Our source material even included a graph showing how the top marginal tax rate has fluctuated over the past century.
Really?
It's crazy. It looks like a roller coaster.
Wow. That really puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if we're in for another big swing, especially when you consider that right now government spending is increasing
Yeah.
while tax rates are near historic lows.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this trend can really last?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a great question, and I think a lot of people are thinking about that.
Yeah.
What happens when the bill comes due for all of this?
Right.
Our sources suggest that life insurance, particularly universal life policies, could offer some tax advantages
Okay.
that might help mitigate the impact of potential future tax hikes.
So we're not just speculating here.
No.
Our sources actually provided a real-life example from the 1980s. That kind of sheds light on how the government might approach future changes to tax laws related to life insurance.
Exactly. Back in the early 80s, the IRS cracked down on people using small universal life insurance policies as tax shelters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they implemented new laws to curb this practice, but they also grandfathered in any existing policies.
So people who already had those policies got to keep the original tax benefits even after the rules changed.
That's right. And this historical precedent is important because it suggests that any future tax law changes might be handled similarly.
Right.
Life insurance is a contract, and it seems like the government would face really strong opposition if they tried to retroactively change the terms of those contracts.
That's reassuring, especially for people who currently have universal life policies. But what does this historical example tell us about the potential for future changes?
Well, if history is any indication, it's likely that the government would honor existing contracts. Even if they implement new tax laws, that means that securing a universal life policy now could potentially lock in current tax advantages, even if the landscape shifts in the future.
So understanding those historical contexts could be a real advantage for anyone considering life insurance. Right now, it sounds like timing could be a crucial factor in maximizing those potential tax benefits.
Absolutely, and that's why it's important to understand not only how tax laws have changed in the past,
Yeah.
but also how those changes have been applied to existing life insurance policies.
It sounds like this historical perspective could be a real game changer when it comes to making informed decisions about your financial future. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and talk about universal life insurance itself. What makes these policies different from traditional life insurance, and why are they potentially so beneficial in a changing tax environment?
Right.
Okay.
Good question.
Okay, so we've established that universal life insurance could be valuable in a potentially shifting tax landscape. But what exactly is universal life insurance?
Yeah, so universal life insurance,
And what makes it different from other types?
it's a type of permanent life insurance
Yep.
that offers a lot more flexibility than traditional whole life policies.
Gotcha.
It basically combines a death benefit with a savings component, giving you more control over your premiums and even your death benefit within certain parameters.
So it's not just a set it and forget it type of policy.
No, not at all.
You can actually adjust things as your life changes.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest advantages of universal life. You can adjust your premium payments, and within certain limits, you can even modify your death benefit.
Wow.
This flexibility allows you to adapt to different financial situations throughout your life.
I can see how that would be really appealing, especially given all the uncertainty surrounding potential tax changes. But how does the tax advantage part of universal life actually work?
Right.
What makes it different from, say, just having a regular savings account.
Yeah, that's where the cash value component comes in with universal life. A portion of your premium payments are directed towards building this cash value, which grows over time similar to a savings account. But here's the key difference. The growth of this cash value is tax deferred.
Hold on, tax deferred. Could you break that down for me?
Sure. It essentially means you don't have to pay taxes on the gains in your cash value until you withdraw the money. It's like a tax shelter built right into your life insurance policy. And if you use something called the policy loan provision, you can potentially access this cash value tax-free.
Okay, now that sounds interesting. Tax-free access to your cash value. Tell me more about this policy loan provision.
Okay, so essentially a policy loan allows you to borrow money from your own policy.
From your own policy.
Yeah, and since it's considered a loan, not a withdrawal, you don't have to pay income tax on it. Of course, like any loan, you'll need to repay it, usually with interest.
So it's not completely free money.
Right.
But it sounds like a pretty advantageous feature, especially if you need access to funds without triggering a taxable event.
Yeah.
But are there any downsides to taking out a policy loan?
Yeah, there are a few things to consider. The interest rates on policy loans can sometimes be higher than other types of loans, and if you don't repay the loan, it can reduce your death benefit. That's why it's really important to understand the terms of your policy and to talk to a financial advisor before taking out a loan.
It sounds like there's a lot to consider with these policies.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something you want to jump into
Yeah.
without doing your research. But the potential for tax-deferred growth and tax-free access to cash value seems like it could be a pretty powerful tool for anyone concerned about future tax hikes.
I think that's a fair assessment, and remember that historical precedent we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
It seems very likely that if you have a universal life policy in place now, the government would honor the existing terms of that contract, even if they change the tax laws down the road.
So you're basically locking in those tax advantages now while you still can. It's like getting ahead of the curve in case things shift in the future.
Exactly, and that's one of the key reasons why universal life is attracting a lot of attention right now. It's a way to potentially mitigate the impact of future tax changes while also providing a valuable death benefit for your loved ones.
This all makes a lot of sense. But before we go any further, I think we should connect this back to our listener and their individual financial goals. Why should they care about universal life insurance?
Good point.
What are the key takeaways here?
I think the biggest takeaway is that understanding how potential changes in tax law could impact life insurance can be a real game changer for anyone planning for their financial future. Life insurance isn't just about protecting your loved ones. It can also be a strategic tool for managing your assets and potentially minimizing your tax burden.
So even if you're not overly concerned about taxes right now, it's still worth exploring how universal life insurance could fit into your overall financial strategy.
Absolutely, especially given the current economic climate and the possibility of future tax increases. It's prudent to consider all your options and to understand how different financial products can help you achieve your goals.
That's sound advice. So what are some practical steps our listener can take if they're interested in learning more about universal life insurance? What should they do next? So we've covered a lot of ground about universal life insurance, the flexibility and the potential tax advantages.
Yeah.
And how it might help kind of navigate future tax changes.
Right.
But where does our listener go from here? What's the first step if they want to explore this further?
The most important thing is to find a qualified financial advisor who specializes in life insurance. They can help you assess your individual needs, goals, and risk tolerance to determine if universal life is a good fit for you.
Because this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, right?
Exactly. A good advisor will take the time to understand your unique circumstances and recommend a policy that aligns with your objectives. They can also walk you through the different types of universal life policies available, since there are variations within that category as well.
So it's like having a guide through this complex financial landscape. But as you mentioned earlier, life insurance isn't just about potential tax benefits, right?
Right.
There's a much bigger picture here when it comes to protecting your loved ones.
Absolutely. At its core, life insurance is about providing financial security for your family. If something were to happen to you, a well-structured policy can offer a safety net, ensuring your loved ones can maintain their lifestyle
Right.
and achieve their financial goals even if you're no longer there to provide for them.
It's that peace of mind knowing your family will be taken care of no matter what. And when you combine that peace of mind with the potential tax advantages we've been discussing,
Yeah.
universal life insurance really starts to look like a powerful tool for building a secure financial future.
I couldn't agree more. And considering the historical precedent we discussed,
Right.
where existing policies were grandfathered in when tax laws changed, securing a universal life policy now
Right.
might offer some protection against future shifts in the tax landscape.
So it's almost like a proactive step, taking advantage of the current landscape while you can. But like you said earlier,
Mm,
finding the right financial advisor is key to making sure this is the right choice for your individual situation.
exactly. They can help you weigh the pros and cons,
Mm.
explore different options, and ultimately make an informed decision that aligns with your long-term financial goals.
Well, I think this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the world of taxes and life insurance. We've covered a lot of ground, from the volatile history of tax law to the potential benefits of universal life insurance, and most importantly, how all of this could impact our listeners' financial future.
Absolutely. I hope our listener feels empowered to take control of their financial future. And remember, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And now you have the knowledge to make informed decisions that can help you build a more secure and prosperous future.
It's like we said at the beginning, taxes are constant, but how we prepare for them can make all the difference. So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep striving for a brighter financial literation tomorrow. And if you're interested in learning more about universal life insurance, reach out to a qualified financial advisor who can guide you through the process and help you determine if it's the right fit for your unique circumstances. This deep dive is just the beginning. There's a whole world of financial knowledge out there waiting to be explored.